Have you ever stopped and wondered how your computer does it all? I mean, you've got music streaming, a big file downloading, and like 20 browser tabs open, and somehow it doesn't just melt. Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on the secret dance that makes all that multitasking magic possible, the process lifecycle.
Seriously, just think about what your computer is juggling for you right now. You've got apps, background tasks, notifications, all of them demanding attention at the same time. It feels like magic, right? But it's not magic. It's a remarkably elegant system that we're going to break down.
And to wrap our heads around this, we're not going to start with a bunch of confusing code or technical jargon. Nope. We're going to start with something we can all relate to. A trip to the airport. Trust me, it's the perfect way to visualize what's happening inside your machine thousands of times a second.
So, picture this. First, you book your flight online. That's the very beginning of the whole adventure. Then, you get to the airport, your bags are checked, and you're just sitting there, waiting at the gate, ready to go. Next up, the best part, you're finally on the plane, in the air, actually flying. But, sometimes you get held up in a huge security line, just stuck, waiting for something else to happen before you can move on. And finally, you land. You've arrived. Your journey's over. Got it? 5 simple steps. Keep those in your head.
Okay, so you've got that airport trip locked in your mind, right? Now let's connect the dots. We're going to translate that journey into the actual technical terms your computer's operating system is using every single moment. Every step we just talked about has a direct counterpart in the world of computing.
But first, real quick, what even is a process? It sounds technical, but it's super simple. A process is just a program that's actually running. So when you double-click an icon to open an app, the operating system basically brings that program to life, turning it into a process and giving it memory and a little slice of its attention.
And this is where it gets really cool. Check this out. Booking the flight, in computer speak, that's the new state when a process is just being created. Waiting at the gate, all packed and ready to go, that's the ready state. It's got everything it needs, it's just waiting for the CPU to call its number. The actual flight, when you're soaring through the air, that's the running state. The process is actively doing its job. And getting stuck in security, that's the waiting state. Pause because it needs something, maybe for you to type on your keyboard. And of course, arriving at your destination is terminated. The process is done. See? It's a perfect match.
Now, here's the absolute key to understanding this whole thing. A process doesn't just pick a state and camp out there. No way. It's in a constant, ridiculously high-speed dance, zipping between these states based on what it needs and what the operating system decides is the most important thing to do in that exact millisecond.
So let's follow a process for a second. A program starts, it goes from new to ready. Then the operating system scheduler points at it and says, "You're up," and it moves from ready to running. But it needs you to type something. So it gets moved from running into the waiting state. Once you hit a key, it doesn't just cut back in line, it goes back to ready to wait for its turn all over again. And then finally, once its work is all done, it goes from running to terminated, and poof, it's gone.
And get this, it's even more chaotic than that. Modern operating systems are what we call preemptive, which is just a fancy way of saying they're the boss, and they can be really impatient. A process could be humming along in the running state, but if it's taking too long or a more important task pops up, the OS can just interrupt it and say, "Nope, back of the line," and kick it right back to the ready state. This is how your computer makes sure everything feels snappy and one single program doesn't hog all the power. And listen, when I say this is a high-speed dance, I am not exaggerating. How fast are we talking? These state changes, this constant shuffling between ready, running, and waiting, is happening millions of times every single second. It's an absolutely incredible, microscopic ballet happening right under our fingertips. Okay, so this is all cool theory, right? Airport analogies, these different states. But why should you actually care? How does this impact you, sitting at your computer right now? Well, the answer is, it impacts literally everything. This entire system is the engine that makes your computer feel like a modern computer. It's what allows for efficient multitasking, so your music doesn't start stuttering the second you open a new browser tab. It's what keeps the overall system performance high because the CPU is never just sitting around bored. This smooth scheduling is what makes your computer feel responsive and fast. And if you're a developer, man, understanding this is absolutely crucial for building apps that don't crash. So at the end of the day, that simple trip to the airport we talked about, it's the blueprint for this amazingly complex and honestly beautiful system. It really is the hidden choreography, the secret set of rules that makes our entire digital world work. Without it, you could only ever do one thing at a time.
Imagine that.
So, now you're in on the secret. You know the dance of the 5 states. But that leaves us with one last, kind of ominous question. If the choreography is so important, what happens when a process misses a step? What happens when it gets stuck in the wrong state? Well, that's when you see the spinning wheel of death, the application that's not responding, or even the dreaded blue screen. The dance stops, and so does your work.